Hi everyone, I'm Lillian Morrill, and I learn best from examples and stories. Ethical narrative makes sense to me because it is using stories to describe using stories to describe and work through ethical dilemmas. Understanding values, both personal and values of a community, is important because when we know someone's values, we can understand how they make their decisions. To me, one of the most important values that I hold is being courteous to others, thinking about how my actions affect the other people around me. When I'm out in the world shopping or at the gym or at the park, I try to be conscious of what's happening. I don't play music out loud, I don't talk on speakerphone, I make sure my cart is out of the way and that I don't stand in the middle of the aisle when people are trying to get by. I'm always trying to be courteous of others because that is how I want to be treated. I care about other people, even if I don't know them. Learning what is good in life comes from school, home, through media, and communities we grow up in. Some things that we're taught as a child that are good include sharing, being nice, saying please and thank you, not interrupting others, and always trying to help when we can. We are taught that there are certain ways to act and treat each other. This translates into adulthood and helps us create a foundation when dealing with ethical dilemmas. Normally, when I come across an ethical dilemma that I have to work through, I try to understand how it affects other people, and I try to make the choice with the least amount of harm. Personally, I learn best through examples and stories. In communication ethics literacy, dialogue and difference, Walter Fish is quoted saying, "Humans are essentially storytellers." Throughout life, when I come to an ethical dilemma, I try to think of stories or moments from other people's lives that can help me make this choice. These stories can be triumphs or failures. I think there are important lessons to learn with both. The case that I want to cover over the next few weeks is leadership to counter white nationalism. This case really stuck out to me not only because of my physical proximity, because I live in Spokane, which is about an hour away from Hayden, Idaho, where there is an Aryan Nation compound, which they focus on, but because I have an individual in my life who strongly supports and lives by the values of white nationalism, which I disagree with wholeheartedly. So that's why this topic of countering white nationalism and the work organizations are doing hits so close to home and has a really great importance in my life, and I want to learn more about what's happening around me. In this case, the ethical narrative that the narrator in Kootenai County Task Force for Human Relations is presenting is extremely powerful and important. If we do not document our history and learn from it, it is bound to repeat itself. Using this ethical narrative can help the viewer understand how impactful these hateful ideas and beliefs are for so many people. White nationalists truly believe they deserve more. Specifically in the 2011 documentary Color of Conscience, the story the narrator is telling us is what is happening in Idaho in the 1990s and 2000s and how it affected people, and what the Kootenai County Task Force for Human Relations was doing to combat racism and hate through legislation and education. The specific ethical dilemma that I would like to note is that of T.J. Leedens. He was a neo-Nazi and part of the Aryan Nation. As his sons grew up, he started to realize that he didn't want his kids to turn out like him. He said, "I didn't want my boys to grow up and be me, so what was wrong with my belief system?" He went through a personal ethical dilemma of individual versus community. When he was in the Aryan Nation, he cared more about himself and the small group of people than the United States as a whole and the communities of color. He realized that the hate speech turned into hateful actions, and he didn't want that for future generations. My personal value I mentioned earlier is that of care and consciousness for others. The white nationalist groups in this case do not show care for other humans. They only care about their own agenda and actively search for ways to harm others. This case will be interesting to cover and understand, and I look forward to diving deeper. Thank you.